Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. This is part 2 of the episode number 2, which is a series where you're going to learn from me how to discern your reality, how to read your timeline, how to read the matrix around you. And this is created in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. So because it's episode 2, my microphone died because it was brand new and it wasn't fully charged. I had to split it in 2 episodes because the second part was literally with no sound. So this is part 2, continuation of the second episode, dedicated to the movie called The Physician. As you may have seen in the previous part, the movie cover is here on the right, and it's translated to Spanish. It's a technique that reptilians use to cover as many souls as possible. So most movies that are super important will get extra time dedicated to them. So this one was definitely quite a very important promo kind of movie, where they practically sustain the concept of the fact that it's okay to be cut open. So it's quite important because it supports, sustains their medical field, which is, it belongs to them. Everything about the medical field is a lie. Um, if they wanted to heal you, they would have done it a very long time ago. They already know how to do it. They just don't care about you. You're a slave race. So what they're trying to do is reverse the idea of healing, and destroy the human body pretty much. And I picked up a few concepts. I started talking about them. One of them is, the whole idea is that they don't need to work too hard to promote concepts to you. They just put it in a movie, they make it pretty, um, and they take it from there. They literally have to invest in the concept they present to you, because they know that you'll take it, you'll be okay with it, and whatever, anything new they have planned will go hand in hand with the movie pretty much. So they do the same when they edit the Bible. They've done it thousands of times. They introduced, for example, with the new church, just a century ago, they created the Mormon church. So they based it on the an edited version of the Old Testament. They called it the Pearl of Great Price. So instead of editing the Bible directly, they created a book that kind of envisaged, presented um, a lie, and because people accepted it, then they went on and edited the Bible after that. Right. So a term I came across that I really wanted to save. I had the open tab from the other day when I was researching some other topic. So I came across gene knockouts, and I thought, man, this is so reptilian, because they spend all their time and resources to find ways to knock out, to destroy the DNA, to deactivate the genetics we have from the Lord. The genetics are not like some people, some crazy people in the New Age community. They think that Jesus had children, um, you know, procreated through the original sin. That's not even possible, because the Lord is God and he's completely against original sin. So he would never, ever um, go in that direction. So these things are demonic. Um, Again, they are concepts just like gene knockouts. Anything that is a lie against God, it's reptilian, and it's designed to create confusion in the mind, the soul, and to draw you closer to them into hell, because they feed off you. They eat your flesh, as well as use you for everything, pretty much, literally everything. You're their source of existence. So if they don't have you, they have nothing, pretty much, because you're not the first race that descended from heaven. You're the latest race. So there have been millions of races already saved from hell. So what's happening, they already have the advantage of knowing the races they tried to destroy before and how they did it. So their genetic pool is constantly growing with every race that the Lord creates. they have new toys to play with. So you're the latest toy, the most exploited toy, and they have a library. They have their own library with all the genetics from all the races they exploited. But the problem is when the Lord moves away from a gene pool. So when a race is saved, it re-enters the safe zone, so to speak. So they receive more guidance through Mother Mary and more protection from the Father, which is Jesus. So the reptiles are no longer able to infiltrate and use. So whatever they've been left with, the crumbs from the table, um, end up deteriorating over time. So they always wait for the latest, newest race to fall, and then with that genetics, they will kind of create hybrids continuously. So let's say there was a fox being bipedal, so humanoid fox, imagine that. Um, yes, they had it in orbit actually. So they they created mutants, let's call that, between male humans because they are more fallen than the women. So they would pick up males from Earth and try and mutate them with another fallen race that has been stashed for them to work with. So they're constantly trying to survive, and they will always do this because they were cursed, weren't they? So reptilians are the Bible snake, cursed to forever um, move on its belly. So it will always be right below the universal baseline, which is fifth density. So they will always be there waiting with their mouths open for the latest race to fall off. So anyway, so gene knockouts sounded very logical, a logical name to have, considering the fact that reptilians are just, you know, they're always destroying, they're knocking out genetics. So in reptilian genetic engineering, specific genes are deliberately deactivated or deleted using targeted editing tools. I stopped the text here, so this came directly from Google search, and I added in English, plain English, what the tools are, because they're not sitting in a lab with every single person on Earth editing genetics. What they're doing is they're giving you ways for you to self-destruct. So you're destroying your own genetics by eating processed food. So they created the industry for it, and they advertise it continuously because that's part of their programming. Yeah, they keep giving you the trash and you keep taking it. Processed food has no minerals in it, it just turns into sugar. And sugar, whatever form it's in, whether it's fiber or if it's processed direct sugar, you know, like proper sugar, or it's alcohol, which is again acid and sugar. Coffee it works a bit differently, but it's still an acid. Tap water is an acid. So all they're giving you is anything that is dropping your pH. So, and sugar, for example, it destroys the mitochondria, so whatever creates energy in the cell, which means that you'll no longer operate at optimal levels of energy. You'll just be like, you know, barely getting out of bed every morning. I know because I've been through it and I know what caused it. I ran out of minerals because I breastfed for 5 years, and plus the pregnancies, that's another 1.8, so 18 months. So it was a very long time. It was almost 7 years of me destroying myself, sort of speak. And I had to figure out how people regenerate, what's happening. I didn't know what was happening because I had no knowledge. So everything collapsed, and I had to rebirth myself, so to speak. Of course, I had help. The Lord was there. But I had to figure out everything from scratch. It's like, what is causing people to look like this or feel like this? Why aren't they getting out of bed on time? I had psychic readings with somebody, and he was telling me, can we have this in an hour? Because I just woke up. So I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna go and have a coffee. I'm like, okay, that's definitely not a good sign, because I already knew that coffee is an acid. So people kill themselves without even realizing it. So it's best if I just mention it to you in case you want to take note and go back, turn around, you know. Um, so the reptiles don't need a lab to make you obey their strategies. They just need to invest in a cute advert full of lies that suggest status and smarts and have their delivery network ready to fulfill demand. So people always get fooled by their strategies because they do not read between the lines. They do not study. They barely got out of bed, so to speak, and ended up doing jobs and things, you know, just to survive. So families must unite so they can put together the money, just like Muslims do, you know, because Muslims they have an obsession about marrying their cousins, which is obviously not good for the DNA. But they are trained to keep the money in, you know. It's always about the money. It's always about um, for them is power, you know. So they are reptilians. They are hybrids, reptilian hybrids. But if you, as a divine race, could learn to stick together, you know, and stay healthy and not mingle with your cousins, and create babies who are deformed, then yeah, you could say the human race could be reborn. So then I came across this second word that seemed very interesting. So I realized it's made of chaos and tropes, which I didn't know what it meant. So I think it came from Greek. And if you kind of give yourself a bit of time to think what it might mean, because in Greek it means turning, like turning around or turning, like a story, um, turning a story around, or something expected is happening again. So, or something that people are used to hearing over and over. It's kind of like a typical turnaround of events. So, chaos, um, turn, a turn towards chaos, demonic, evil, destructive, reptilian. Yes, and then they're describing exactly that thing on Google, because a lot of the stuff is just Google research, me trying to understand what they're saying, because I never heard of this word before. um, so chaotropes are molecules or ions that disrupt the hydrogen bonding networks of water and weaken the hydrophobic effect. That I need to look that up, but I think we kind of get the gist. By decreasing water structural order, which is obviously interesting because of the Asian experiments done with water molecules and freezing them and speaking to water and things like that. So you may have come across water structure before and concepts that others have tried to explain, how water can be, water molecules can be affected just by speaking nasty words to it, for example, because water absorbs, um, you could say, energy, I guess. So by decreasing water structure order, they increase the solubility of nonpolar molecules and destabilize the native structure of macromolecules like proteins, blah blah, frequently causing them to unfold and denature. Denature is quite an important word. Obviously, is undoing nature, which is chaos, isn't it? So this is all reptilian. It's literally there in your face on Google. It's a definition of a word. So you need to pay attention to anything negative that sticks out to you, um, and try and link things, link concepts. This is all I've ever done since I awakened, constantly linking things and trying to understand the deeper meaning of stuff, not just surface. There's no point in understanding surface because you haven't started anything. You're just sitting there. So, and then I said, how about give me some examples of these chaotropes, and figure that they're acids and things that destroy, right? Things that are man-made, or should I say reptilian-made. So alcohol, that's no good. Iodide salts. Um, so they're telling you it's destructive, and then they're coming back with a lie, saying they're good for you, essentially for thyroid health. Well, no, because if this is um, if this is lab created, it's not going to be good for you. Um, if it's a salt, it's much more complex than just iodide salt. Okay, it doesn't just come like that. In nature, it comes up as a much more varied mixture of elements. So it will have like 100 minerals, um, trace minerals mixed together. So it's a much more balanced product. So that is good for health. And eating fresh things that have holds lots of liquid, like cucumber. Cucumber is very healthy. People can live off cucumber and just do that, because it has many minerals in it, and it's not processed, so it holds the minerals. There's, I don't know, 5 minerals that hold the water inside cells. So if they hold them inside cucumber, they hold them inside your body, which means your metabolism will be better, right? And electricity will flow better, which is what consciousness is that electricity that you can create inside the cells. The mitochondria is very important. So the body uses iodide to produce thyroid hormones, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, but you need it in an organic form, not from a lab. You don't want non-organic. Okay. It's talking about radiation, important with blocking radiation. Yes, you need to know what exactly you're having. Is it organic or non-organic? Stay away from everything non-organic. Okay, so this is just a little statement. The Lord came to save and heal you in every way, which is true. He's literally the creator. He understands every single cell inside of you. Your way of accepting him is to be baptized into his true church. There's only one. There's no 400,000 denominations. The number 400,000 exists on Google simply because they are created by the reptiles, just like Google is, right? How do they know how many? It's because every time they create a fake church, they implement it by adding errors, lies into the Bible. So every time somebody connects with a lie, they decide, oh, let's create another church because these people are crazy and they do want to serve us. Yeah, they want to be slaves and sick and dead. Um, so the true church. Oh yes, it was spelled right. Church. Yeah, it just looks weird because it's all capitals. The only church built on Peter 2,000 years ago, which is important because Peter was crucified. He died crucified upside down, which is a mirror image of the Lord's cross in water. So if you're placing a cross above water, and then you stand in front of it and you look in the water, you see a mirrored cross which is upside down, and that's Peter. Peter is very important. um, it's proving that the Bible is true because the Lord only created one church, and he said it will stand against the gates of hell for until he returns, which is pretty much 2,000 years. So stop beating around the bush. You're not going to be saved unless you are Catholic. If anybody says any different, it's because they haven't thought of it themselves. And a lot of people recognize Catholic Church as the Mother Church, and it is true. It is guided by Mother Mary. They promote Mother Mary. She's the co-redeemer. So there isn't just one redeemer. There's also a co-redeemer. There's a king and a queen. So the race actually has two royals at the top, the king and the queen, not just the king, okay? And the king will return as justice, and the queen will serve, so that's Mother Mary, right? She will serve as the mercy seat. And the queen is the one that teaches and guides humanity, because the Lord is just there to make sure everything else goes smoothly, and he downloads all the information that humans will need for the rest of eternity, which is a very long time, right? So yeah, he's got his part of the story. I've got my part of the story. We have to um, make sure everybody gets their needs met. But if you're not baptized, you're not accounted for. So the Lord said recently that there are many seats that are not taken yet. So that means there's still people that are not baptized. I looked up the figures. Apparently, there's 17% of the population of the planet Catholic, and we need to be about 33% to reach the Lord's goal, because He knows everything. Right. Because I've come across this topic before, I wanted to know where exactly, and I think, yes, in the movie, it's promoting the idea that you should never open a body, you should never cut it open. And they keep enforcing the concept that it's only to do with the dead bodies, just to distract it from the actual true facts, because these days, um, cutting people open is so familiar, it's so common, right? Everybody agrees with it. It's fine. You heard this. Let's cut you open and see what's going on. So this movie is diverting your attention from a fact that is true, the fact that you should never be cut open because you're creating blockages and also the problem. I'm not even going to go into having bits and pieces of you removed. That's even worse. Um, but yeah, so the movie keeps focusing about cutting up dead people, right? So yeah, that's another distraction. It's just um, and where was this presented? So I wondered if it's something that Google will talk about, if it'll mention, and how will it mention it, in what context. So I did a Google search. So Judaism, I actually removed things that, because they were starting to lie, to kind of alter the answer, you know. So Google will always give you half truth and half lie because you don't know the answer. So you're coming to the reptiles to ask about it. But I can actually recognize when they're lying now. So I got the truth out for you. So in Jewish law, there's a strong prohibition known as whatever it's called, desecration or mutilation, which is generally understood to forbid the cutting of a human corpse. Right. Again, talking about the dead. It's not just the dead. The dead are already dead, and they're saying don't cut them. So imagine what they should be saying about the living. Definitely don't cut them, right? Obviously, Google didn't mention anything about that. So Judaism was edited as well, just like Egyptian beliefs were edited as well, because before the Jews were given the Ark of the Covenant, guess who had it? The Egyptians, right? It went from the Egyptians to the Jews to the Romans. So the Ark of the Covenant is literally the connection to Mother Mary, the true church. So it has been moving about from country to country because people, when they start to reject, you can't impose things. You just have to go with the next one interested, you know. Okay, number 2, divine law, stolen by reptilians from Judaism and inserted into Islam, considers the human body sacred. Breaking the bone of a dead person is similar in sin to breaking the bone of a living person. Again, they are talking about the dead. So this one is kind of like hinting at the fact that the living might have more value than the dead, so you shouldn't be doing it. I don't know. So yeah, there's always this kind of diversion. Yeah, they're distracting from actual talking about the living people. Um, it's leaving it open, isn't it? They can't admit to being wrong about cutting you, so they never even talk about it. That's what it is. So they're hiding the truth right in your face by not talking about it. They just keep talking about the dead. Yeah. So Prophet Muhammad was a reptilian Freemason and a pedophile, in case you didn't know, because most people don't actually read the book he wrote, right? And you probably don't even look into Islam, what's going on. Yeah, so they're Freemasons, reptilians. Why? Because they become possessed, and I talked about it in my previous episode. As soon as you start making some serious sins like killing people, raping people, you know, that's when you become more and more possessed and you lose power because the Lord deactivates your DNA. So you just become a reptilian. Right, Islam has truth in it only because it was stolen to build a new reptilian church. And this is happening on repeat. Without stealing the truth first to use as partial foundation, humans cannot be manipulated by the reptiles, and that defeats the purpose of creating something of their own. Yeah, so they're constantly having to build on a partial truth. They always grab something that is divine because they have to connect to you. So how else are they going to connect if, let's say, so yeah, they have to have something in common with you, in something in common with your past, with what you already have, what you build on already, to kind of link themselves with you. But you also have to accept their lies. So they can't manipulate you if you don't accept any lies. That's why I started these series to explain to you how they manipulate you, what exactly is on the surface, how you agree with them, because there's like every single day you're agreeing a million times over with the reptiles and you don't even know it. You can't know because this is quite complex. They've become experts at manipulation, and unless you're interested and start digging out the truth like I am, you're just not going to find it because you're focused on something completely different. um, so their goal is always the same: to introduce lies into your consciousness so that the Lord cannot protect you and you end up slave to the devil race, reptilians. So the reptilians can only attract unconscious humans to them for slave workforce and fresh meat. You are their farm animals. Yep, definitely a farm. Apparently, you taste like pork, because they make statements like that and they have a laugh, um, especially when they're they do have spaceships and stuff. So there's about space 1,000 spaceships behind the moon. They're from the Galactic Federation members, and yeah, they mingle with each other on the main ship, which is kind of like a base, which is Andromeda and is quite big. And races gather there for meetings and all sorts of stuff. So you get to watch the reptilians do their own thing as well. And they do meetings, and sometimes people don't show up. Sometimes because they're afraid, because some of the reptilians have really strong telepathic abilities and stuff like that. So yeah, it's quite dangerous. It's a dangerous world, and if you don't start learning the basics, you're never going to be recruited to ascend. Yeah, so it starts with the baptism. You can't ignore it. The Lord's not interested in how smart you've been for the last 2,000 years, okay? But how obedient you've been to Him, because He can't work with you if you're just, you know, thinking that you're doing great. You're not, because you're all here. You know, people have left Earth 2,000 years ago. They were moved to a different planet. I don't know how evolved they were, but some of them are doing much better than you. So yeah, you can't think you're doing great if you're here right now. Um, you still have to be accepted on the new Earth, and a lot will happen. I posted the timeline quite a few times. There's a lot of drama coming. Um, yeah, so number 3, almost done now. Leviticus states, "You shall not make any cuts on your body." I removed the rest of the verse because a lot of the time reptiles back up their pseudoscience with Bible edits, simply because you're not there questioning the changes they made, why and when. You know nothing while they systematically edit your human perception of reality. So there have been many verses in the Bible that were edited because I am the main guide of humanity. Everything is stored in me from the Lord. I'm the first one to always be upgraded genetically. So from me, everything goes um, to everybody else. Yeah. So, and I noticed they systematically removed books from the Bible. There's Enoch. I read Enoch the other day, and I was shocked. It was talking about me, the chosen one, the hidden chosen one. And people, I even looked on YouTube to see what people think that is. Who is that? There was absolutely no video, right? So even if you post something and you're right, they might delete you. They might remove your account. They might remove your just the video you posted. It's up to them because they control the whole matrix now. So of course the Lord is in charge. So he has to make sure that my information gets to people and I don't get removed. Right. Next. And note, the movie also introduces concepts of slavery of women, abuse of women, fight over women, cheating, the so-called female impurity, which is demonic. Female period is the fastest regenerating tissue in the body. It can heal a cut overnight without marks instead of in a week or two. And then the question is why? Because the cells, the cells are highly regenerative adult stem cells with properties similar to those found in bone marrow or the umbilical cord. So we're talking about creating a baby here, right? From scratch. You've got a whole human being connected to these cells and growing exponentially and all stuff like that, you know? Okay, and I also made a final note about, this is actually a note on diseases in general. So I put cancer because everybody's talking about cancer and they all think that, wow, the reptilians are gonna bring novelty about cancer and save them. Actually, they're lying because cancer, if you know how it's created by sugar and processed food, which destroys cells and tissue, soft tissue, yeah. You could say that cancer never existed because you caused it. You caused it with sugar and processed food, acids, drinking acids, eating acids. And if you don't eat and drink acids, it will never happen. It's not possible to have cancer because it's all caused by low pH, low blood pH, a blood that never delivers the right nutrients to the cells. So the cells collapse, the soft tissue around the cells where the cells are become ill and collapse, and you end up with a meat, a flesh that instead of looking pink, it looks gray. That's what cancer is. Okay, I've seen it in pork, I've seen it in I don't know, fish, whatever. Because if you don't if you think that you can't find out an answer about something that is related to humans, you can always look at the animals. And when they talk about cancer and how they reverse things, diseases, so why is it that humans can't be healed of things, but animals can? You know, and the farmers know already how to deal with things. They know how to reverse things. Well, not everybody, but those ones who have been in the industry for generations growing animals, they know how to take care of them, you know. You just feed them the right foods. But humans don't eat the right foods because they were programmed to embrace processed food, which is very destructive. It's just turning into sugar. And that spikes your sugar and destroys the pancreas. Yeah, you're left with pancreas. You cannot live without pancreas. You die. They might even say that you can't regenerate pancreas. That's a lie. I came across that as well. Absolute lie. How do you regenerate pancreas? You stop eating acid. Because that's the pancreas creates the balance in your blood, recalibrates the blood pH. So if you want to not become sick because it's too acidic, you stop eating the wrong foods. Coffee is very destructive, very, very destructive. So it's probably 90% of humanity is drinking coffee. I can't even get near it. I like the smell, but I don't like the effect. My heart will pump as if I'm about to die or something. So yeah, I can't drink it. Which means I'm a bit more sensitive, which means I can recognize truth. I recognize it. It's not good for you. Don't drink it. Right. If you feel like sipping on something, just have a cucumber smoothie instead, because that will top up minerals. which is the opposite of drinking coffee. Right. What does cucumber give you? Lots of minerals. So the more cucumber you eat, drink, whatever, you top up. Water levels in the cells. In order to hold on to water, you need magnesium, very important, calcium, and you do not take these from pills. Pills are allopathic medicine, again created inorganically in labs by the reptiles to make money. The human body does not absorb inorganic minerals, it just doesn't. Yeah, so once you top up minerals, the body will start to regenerate. I drink so much water in one day, ridiculous amounts. Every time I drink is like a liter at the time. So you don't sip on a tiny little cup, you just shove the water in. And I also walk for 5 hours a day. If I take a lot of notes, it's about 5 hours, because the Lord keeps giving me quite a bit of stuff every day. And what else can I say? Nothing much. Looking forward to the next episode. I think this format works better for me. I literally built this today, these 3 videos in one day, just by having like, hey, I could do that, you know. That's it. I'll finish recording now, and I'll see you in episode 3. Hope you found some of the information useful. So it's mainly diet. Make sure you don't eat sugary stuff or processed stuff. Never ever touch wheat or rice. Don't touch them, because, or any meats that are like deli meats. Don't touch those either, because they have preservatives in them. Yeah, I'll talk more on diets and all sorts of things like that, because there's lots to know. What you should be doing is go off grid to get ready for the flood, because in 2029, at the end of the year, I'm flooding the earth. I'm not joking. You might think I'm a crazy person, but actually, the earth has been flooded 6 times already by me. Nobody else, me. And if you're found not worthy or not in the right position, or we can't move you by giving you a cool idea, hey, let's go on vacation last minute, and then you appear in a different part of the world and you're saved, right? If none of that works for you, you will not be taken to the new earth, and only a third of the human population will make it. A third. That's 2.8 billion, I think. 2.8 billion will be on the new earth. That's it, no more. And after that, 7 years of famine, which is not going to be fun. And who's going to be starving? The ones who did not move at the bottom of a mountain on time. So I'm telling you now, because you've got 3.5 years to prepare. So if you're manifesting this now and you're not moving on time, whose fault is it? Not mine. So you're going to starve. And then I'll be recruiting souls again for the last time. In 2035, I'll be sent out by the Lord. I'll be the 2 witnesses that you find in the Bible in the Revelations section. I'm literally going to do what I'm doing now, but more specific, focusing on baptism. That's it. So I'll be walking, talking, baptizing people. That's in 2035 for 3.5 years or something like that. And then in 2038, the Third World War would launch, and North America will be obliterated with atomic bombs, as well as Jerusalem, because, Israel, because Jerusalem is where they will destroy me, they will kill me, right? But I will be resurrected after 3 days, which means lots of power again. What happens? The Lord will be born in around 2049. I'm just giving you the timeline so you have an idea, because people think that he's coming back on a white horse in the sky. White horse means divine wisdom, folks. Yeah, there might be miracles. He might be flying on a cloud. It's no big deal. I can do that too. But a lot of the stuff is usually metaphorical, right? And the sword, he's not going to fight with the sword. Seriously, guys, he's God. He's got so much power, you have no idea. He doesn't need a sword for anything. The sword in his mouth just means that his word will cut. It will be so serious because he's coming back as justice, and you cannot cross him because he's not coming back as mercy. I am. Okay? So I'm giving you mercy now. I'm warning you well in advance. You've got 3.5 years to build a house of grit and be in peace at the bottom of a mountain. You have to leave the cities and the towns because they are reptilian. Everything reptilian is built on plains. I'm flooding the plains. There'll be no concrete left. So don't invest in concrete on plains because that's not going to last. It's just going to go on the water. Nobody's going to survive that. If you're on plains, you're not going to survive it. Okay, I'll stop now. So I'll see you in the next one.